Hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're watching this from. My name is Eliana and welcome to my talk on the Water Smart Cities Nexus, bridging the divide through open and inclusive access. I'm an editor at Water Science Policy, which is an independent, non-profit magazine that delivers water-related content to a global audience. Thank you for coming to my talk, and I hope that it is both insightful and engaging. So today, I would like to speak with you about inclusion and how water and technology can include or exclude certain groups. So the definition of inclusion, according to the Oxford English Dictionary, is number one, the action or state of including or of being included within a group or structure, or the practice or policy of providing equal access to opportunities and resources for people who might otherwise be excluded or marginalized, such as those who have physical or mental disabilities or members of other minority groups. So in a water context, this could be the action or state of being included in water access or water governance structures. So why is this even important? Why do we care? What are the consequences of exclusion, which is the opposite of inclusion? Well, exclusion leads to structural violence, which harms people as they cannot meet their basic human needs. And structural violence is different from physical violence in that there is no perpetrator. You know, if I punch you in the face, I am the perpetrator and you are the victim. But this isn't the case for structural violence, as this type of violence comes from and also leads to an unequal distribution in power, creating a feedback loop. And there are many knock-on effects of this. So for instance, those who have greater access to a resource also have greater control over it, leading to its unsustainable use, as can be seen in many cases of water management globally. And more wide scale, this actually hinders sustainable development, as some of the population are unable to meet their basic human needs. And now I ask you the question, how can a country holistically develop if a part of its population is undernourished, unhealthy, or uneducated through no fault of its own? It can't. It's simply impossible. So even those winning from inequality, and I'm using inverted commas there, are actually missing out because they live in a place that hasn't reached its full potential, and then therefore they cannot meet their full potential. So let's explore the themes of inclusion and exclusion further within the context of this conference. As I'm sure you all know, unimagined urbanization is making cities extremely uneven. Cities are becoming increasingly unequal, and the gap is widening between the rich and the poor in terms of incomes, access to services, access to opportunities, and also access to decision making. And now, time for some scary statistics. 70% of the world's population is due to live in cities by 2050, and global water demand will be about 55% higher than it is today. So now is the time to make sure that cities do not systematically and structurally discriminate against marginalized communities. And now is the time, because we are in a transition period, you know, we are urbanizing, we are still doing it. And cities are the world's largest growing landscape, so they're still evolving. There is still time to change these issues, but we have to sort them out now, otherwise they will be perpetuated into the future. And I've got some case studies to exemplify what I'm trying to say. All come from Water Science Policy, so have a look on our website if you would like to find out more. I've actually hyperlinked the article in the title on the PowerPoint. So the first one, and I apologize in advance if I mispronounce anything, It's from an article called The Value of Water in the Gur Areas of Ulaanbaatar. And for those of you who don't know, Ulaanbaatar is the capital of Mongolia and also its economic center. And the Gur areas are home to about 60% of the city's total population, constituting about 200,000 households. Now, less than 1% of the Gur area population is connected to piped water supplies. So the rest, the 99% plus, actually rely on kiosks for their water supply. And there are about 650 kiosks overall. And that totals about one kiosk for every 308 households, or one kiosk for every 1,232 people. And that is obviously not enough, nowhere near enough. And actually, the average travel time to fetch water can be as high as 30 minutes, which is the World Health Organization's maximum travel time. And the United Nations Development Programme described the Mongolian water sector as one of the most disorganized to be found. And now is maybe time to drop that friendly reminder that water and sanitation are fundamental human rights in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So obviously something's going wrong there. And unfortunately, unequal urban water distribution occurs in developed countries as well as in developing countries. And my other example, also from Water Science Policy, hyperlinked in the title, is from an article called Achieving Water Justice for World Water Day in 2021, Valuing Water Under the Biden Administration. And this article speaks about a population called Sand Branch, which might sound weird in my British accent. But Sand Branch is located just outside of Dallas, Texas, which is also the USA's 5th richest city. And the community of Sand Branch is primarily African American. Now, tragically, this community has lived without clean water and sewage services for more than 30 years, despite the fact that they are located approximately 15 meters, so not far at all, from a high-tech, state-of-the-art water treatment facility. Now, I don't know about you, but I personally think this is unacceptable. And unfortunately, unequal water access is a global issue and is highly problematic. Not only to do with the fact that if you don't drink water, you die within 3 days, but also that water has so many purposes and uses, right? Like sanitation is a key factor in fighting against the COVID pandemic. So if you don't have access to water, then your likelihood of, becoming ill is a lot higher. And unfortunately, these are just two of many, many, many examples. And unequal urban water distribution can be found in many contexts, in many different, manifestations, but the outcome is always the same, which is those in need do not have water. So hopefully I've demonstrated by this point that the current urban water situation is far from ideal. But, let's be hopeful, let's be strategic, let's think, how can we resolve these issues? Now, can smart cities and inclusive cities be one and the same? Because what's the definition of an inclusive city? An inclusive city is one that values all people and their needs equally. It is one in which all residents, including the most marginalized, have a representative voice in governance, planning, budgeting process, and have access to sustainable livelihoods, legal housing, and affordable basic services such as water, sanitation, and an electricity supply. Note that water and sanitation was actually mentioned in that definition. So now, how does that tie together with smart cities? Well, the aim of smart cities is to use advanced technology, data, and analytics to improve management of city resources and lives of citizens. So I don't really think they're that different if you think about it. Because, okay, sure, inclusive cities work through representation and smart cities work through technology, but really they're not that dissimilar. because both are to do with the management of city resources, both are to do with the delivery of basic human needs, and both are to do with an awareness of citizens as actual people. So even though one is social and the other is technical, both actually fit together very well. So how can technology be used to increase water access? Well, now a case study takes place in Malay in the Maldives, where intelligent water systems are being built throughout the city. So now water infrastructure is now a flow of information as well as a flow of water. And in practice, what this means is that through technological monitoring, operators have actually been able to centralize management and provide timely information, including the notice of service disruption. And this helps people in their daily lives. It's nice to know whether you've got water or not. It's nice to have access to that information. And even though it's only in its first stage, this has already improved stability of water supply in the Maldives. And they're planning to build an inter-island network system. So while this scheme has not specifically targeted marginalized communities, the project has enhanced water security, which benefits everyone. And this could be even more inclusive, right? They could place extra technology in poor areas, which may have, antiquated infrastructure or inadequate infrastructure. And this would be an example of an equitable use of a technological resource. So even though we shouldn't rely on technology to fix society's problems, for instance, problems of exclusion and inequality, we are living in an increasingly digital and technological world. So we should keep an open mind to solutions. And for me, that balance is having a mix of effective representative governance and inclusive technology. And that's how and why we should merge the concept of smart cities and water inclusive cities together to come up with water smart cities nexus, and whereby you establish inclusive and equitable access to water through the use of technology, which has huge potential in terms of enhancing sustainable development and ultimately achieving the sustainable development goals. And we've only got 9 years to, hit those targets, right? So finally, what's water science policy's role in all of this? Well, we believe that the journey to becoming a smart city with a strong water smart city nexus comes with having open and inclusive access to information. And this is important because through information, you can raise public awareness and propose solutions for more inclusive public policies. And this is really water science policy's goal, to spread awareness of water-related news in different languages to a global audience. So, for example, all of our articles are open access. And we are also purposefully intersectional. If it's to do with water, we are interested. We want to know about it. So we publish articles to do with the economy, climate, health, nature, society. And we're now also launching a new theme of water and technology. And our aim is to bridge geographical regions, borders, ethnicities, and language barriers through direct engagement with individuals, partners, and organizations, because we truly believe that everyone should have access to information in order to form their own opinions on important topics. And curiously, even though our passion for water is what ties us together, it's actually technology that brings water science policy to life, because all of our work is digital. I've never actually met any of my colleagues. All the work we do is on Zoom. So is this going beyond a smart city towards a smart global community? So we warmly invite you to go on our website and any of our social media to find out more and to stay up to date with the world's water-related news. Everything is hyperlinked in the PowerPoint. And you can also get involved by sending us content in various forms. So that can be articles, but we're also going beyond just text information to photo stories, art, and podcasts in order to make water science policy even more inclusive. And you can also help us by translating our articles into any and every language. So, thank you for your time and interest in my presentation and our work. We are currently looking for partners to collaborate with us. So individuals, companies, nonprofits, whoever you are, send us an email if you're interested and join us in bridging the gap and reaching a global audience in order to create a more informed, equal and sustainable world. And remember, as Bruce Lee once said, be water, my friend. Thank you.